Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The governor prepared to bring in out-of-state workers, even the National Guard, to help. An estimated 72,000 hospital workers are not vaccinated. Nurse Tricia Sebastian is one of them.
We're trying to do what is at the best interest for our families.
This comes just days after a federal judge temporarily blocked New York City public schools from implementing a similar vaccine mandate for teachers and staff.
The mandates are arriving. The mandates are going to be here. And the question is simple. How many people are going to essentially bow down? Yeah, essentially bow down. How many people are going to say, I am vaccinated, but I also had it, so I guess they're doubly vaccinated, whatever it is. All of those things I am, but I'll tell you this right now. I want no part of this. I don't. But what about the people that out there who don't have they've made choices. They've understand their choice. And by the way, you're not going to convince them otherwise. There's a great article this weekend about people who are on their deathbed still thinking this thing isn't real. You're like, well, I mean, there's nothing else you can do about it, right? You don't think it's real. There's nothing else that people are going to be able to do or say that are going to change people's minds. So they've accepted whatever happens, happens. And for most people, that's fine. By the way, 99% of them, nothing is going to happen. 99% of them, nothing will happen. For a lot of people, this is about, well, you're putting issues inside of our healthcare community. There's going to be real issues and shortages here and there. It's a possibility. But we overthink these things. Mask mandates. I mean, my God, I wear a mask. Right? 90% of our employees here are probably vaccinated. Now, I'm very fortunate. The company I work for, so I have two shows I do. I have my show. You guys are hearing this right now. And then I do a local show here. The local show, and we've got a great deal with them, and they allow me to work out of these studios. So they ask me to wear a mask, and I do. But I look around and I think to myself, what the hell are we doing? I mean, honestly, at this point in time, you're either vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, and we're having to wear the damn mask everywhere, or we get the mask police on us. It's insane. It is. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, CDC.
We have seen that these vaccine mandates do get more people vaccinated. So I am enthusiastic about getting more people vaccinated because I think that's good to protect individuals. It's good to protect their own health, their families, and that of the communities around them.
Yeah, we've seen that if we force people to get stuff, they're going to actually get it. Well, that's great. What else would we like to force them to do? Well, Chad, you're being stupid. Am I? Look at Australia. Again, I continue to say, Australia is the closest that we have that represents a lot of what we do. And you look at what they're doing. The way they've cracked down, the insanity. The beauty of what we have going on here is the fact that, first of all, we do have a lot of people vaccinated. Secondly, because each state is its own individual country for all intents and purposes, we have pushback there. But if given the opportunity, you don't think some states would continue to push some of this insanity? Of course they would. Their chief health person, who's essentially their Dr. Fauci, she came out and said, nothing will ever be the same. We're never going back to normal. This thing will be here forever. So you mean to tell me you're going to live your life like this forever with stop-start? You're going to live your life like this forever with stop-start. And think about this. Originally, this was novel. People didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, people said, oh, this thing's real. Hospitals were getting full. The media was on it 24/7. The race to get the vaccine was real. We got the vaccine. But then people started saying, I don't know if I believe everything they're saying. I think a lot of this stuff was overblown. And all of a sudden, people are starting to go, well, maybe this is more not like the flu in the sense of them being equal, but kind of like the flu in the fact that they're not going anywhere. Endemic rather than pandemic. What does that mean? How many people out there avoid getting the flu shot? Oh, I forget about it. Don't worry about it. I'm not bothered by it. I'll be fine. How many? Plenty of them. So what happens in a year when the rush to get the vaccine isn't going to be the same? Endemic means it's not going anywhere. And we've already ceded power to some people who are always looking to grab more power. Keep that in mind as we move forward. Because if you think it ends here, it doesn't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love to hear from each and every single one of you. The Del Rio Bridge is reopening today. That is, that's good news.
At one point, the sprawling tent city under the International Bridge at Del Rio housed up to 15,000 people in conditions that Valverde County Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez called deplorable.
You're seeing babies, little kids, pregnant women, family units, in probably the worst conditions I've ever seen.
While many of the immigrants were immediately returned to their home countries, many were allowed to stay in the U.S. to continue the asylum process.
By the way, when you say many, I don't think people understand what many means, because I don't think it's as many as they're trying to make it out to be. I would say maybe, at best, a third. The reality is probably 20%. 20%. Over the weekend, Chris Wallace, Fox News, had on Mayorkas, the guy that's supposed to be running everything, the guy that's supposed to be the man, the myth, the legend, who's supposed to be seeing over this thing. And again, they continue to spin it as if, it's no big deal.
Haven't you given them a reason to believe there's a reasonable chance if they come into this country, they'll end up being released into the country and have months or perhaps years to stay here?
Chris, this is nothing new. We've seen this type of irregular migration many, many times throughout the years. I don't know if Governor Abbott said the same thing in 2019 when there were more than 1 million people encountered at the southern border.
It has gotten worse. Just the statistics of your own department show that the flood of people coming illegally across the border has gotten worse under the Biden administration.
So I wouldn't call it a flood, Chris, if I may. But
what would you call it?
Yeah, what would you call it? Yeah, and Abbott and everybody, one of the big reasons Trump got elected was because he wanted a wall, because he wanted to stop of illegal migration here to the country. One of the reasons that he wanted that is because he saw the ridiculousness, and he heard from states that are on the border saying, this is insane. Absolutely, 100%. Do I think Abbott said it? Of course he did. But nothing got done. The most important thing that got done wasn't even the stay in Mexico, which was important, but without the enforcement of it, it means nothing. That thing's still there. That's stay in Mexico. So if you know what that is, Trump in 2020 got a stay in Mexico order executive order. What that meant was if you're coming here to apply for asylum, you have to do what so many other countries do, which is you have to apply for asylum and stay in the country like Mexico, stay in Mexico order. So if you're coming from Mexico and we capture you and you know, just all the horrible things that we ask you, hey, you know what, you have to go back. That's good that you're applying for asylum, fantastic. Then Mexico said, well, we're not keeping these people. So then people were trying to figure out a way to get into here outside of that, or they're going home because Mexico wanted no part of it. And if you got caught trying to get into the country with the stay in Mexico order, essentially your asylum claim would be denied. So that was a huge deterrent. But the biggest part of all that was, anyone? It was enforced. The Biden administration wanted to get rid of it. A judge says, you're not going to get rid of it. But just because it's still there doesn't mean it's being enforced, and that's important.
We have seen large numbers of individuals encountered at our border making a claim for asylum, for humanitarian relief, which is a statute, which is a law.
By the way, humanitarian relief is a statute and law based on what? So there's a difference between a humanitarian relief and what he tries to kind of talk about, which we've talked about when we talked about asylum last week, and I broke it down.
of the United States, that individuals can make a claim of fear of persecution by reason of their membership in a particular social group. That's what the law provides. This we are certainly seeing a large number here in this year, but in 2019, we saw a large number in 2014, in 2010. This is nothing new. It spans many, many years. It spans different administrations of both parties, and it speaks to the need for legislative reform.
Yeah, legislative reform. Or enforcing the laws. That's the other thing. If you enforce the laws, watch what happens. If you enforce the laws, see what takes place. If you tell people, you come here, we're going to give you the opportunity to apply for asylum, and we're going to allow you to live in this country while you do it. And remember, humanitarian relief, as he tried to say, well, that's not real. If you're persecuted because of your sexual orientation, if you're persecuted because of your religious beliefs, persecuted politically, those are things for asylum. If you had an earthquake in your country has, well, quite frankly, is a hot mess, and you've had your president killed, you have zero economic opportunity because your country is a mess, and you continue to put the same people in over and over again, whatever it is, those are not reasons. We can sympathize, but at some point in time, you have to ask the question, what are you people doing there in D.C.? What are you doing? Nothing. You've played the game for so long, it's gotten out of control, but both of you have benefited from it, and now we have a giant mess, and there's more on the way here, and seeing what is taking place, you just gave everybody the opportunity to say, all right, here's the deal. Go to America, get there, make sure you take your family with you. Because otherwise, if you're a single male, most likely a single woman, they're sending you home. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a phenomenal weekend. It was fantastic. Watched some of the Ryder Cup. And we'll touch on that in a little bit, but let's just say USA, USA, USA. A rousing and a rout, if you will, by the United States of America. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Give it to my little dog, Doodle. He lives for it. He loves it. He loves the taste of it. What it's done is turned him into a dog with energy, a dog with the opportunity to continue to run around because his joints don't hurt, because he's just in a better place physically than he's been since we've had him. I've given it to him for the last 18 months. I give it to our puppies as well. It is a supplement. It's Canine Vita Smart. Goes right on top of your dog's food. What do? Just sprinkle it there. You don't have to worry about spending super huge bucks on getting gourmet food. Give them the food that you like, kibble, whatever it is. But put this on top of it and see the difference. Vitamins, minerals, vegetables, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. It's non-GMO. You will love the results for your puppy, and so will they. Or your older dog, and so will they. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. This will cost you nothing except for the cost of shipping. Get a free bag. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Roughgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
We were just talking off the air, with all the craziness about immigration, does Trump have a chance to run? I don't think Trump wants it. I think Trump's goal is to be somewhat of a kingmaker and to be, involved in the party and be that guy that they turn to, that they continue to turn to over and over again. When it comes to, can you help us win this Senate race? Where do you think we should go from here? Tonight, the next. And who is the next? What's the next look like? I couldn't tell you. I mean, you've got producer Phil, you got Rubio, Cruz. They'll take out Kristi Noem, a few others. Nikki Haley will be one. Obviously, DeSantis has his eyes on a bigger prize. I know the governor out here, Doug Ducey, would love the opportunity But I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people, even people who love Trump, are kind of over it. You know, it's like it's one of those things where it's, can we take that and bottle it up, but without the chaos? What does that look like? What does that look like with somebody who isn't going to be embroiled in scandal, isn't going to fight with the media all day, also isn't the media's greatest tool to get people to pay attention to them? Who is that? What do they look like? Right? Are they a bit of a populist with some conservative ideas? Are they Republican with some conservative ideas? Are they, I mean, how do you, if you're building that, is it Kristi Noem, right? Is it Nikki Haley? Is there somebody else? Because we've got a ways to go that will come out of nowhere. And, you know, Crenshaw out in Texas. I hear a lot of stuff about him. I like the guy, but the reality is going from a congressperson to the president, that's a jump right there. So there's a lot out there. But at the end of the day, do I think Trump wants? I don't think Trump really wants it. I think he wants to be able to go places and tell everybody he still won, and we're going to get to that in a minute. I think he wants to go places and be able to say he's still the kingmaker and be able to essentially knight the next. And a big midterm election that goes against Trump and the people that he's picked, I think will quiet a lot of people down. If a lot of people he picks seem to have the oomph, you know, the Republican Party is right now tied to Trump, whether they like it or not. And that includes the good, the bad, and the conspiracy. We'll talk about that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The Cyber Ninjas spoke. Wait till you hear this. We'll touch on that. Some more with craziness at the border. And ASU insanity. Where do you hear this? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The turnout was really good. We've had some people saying, oh yeah, I came all the way from, another county because I want to get my shot, need to get my shot for work.
Yep. There you go. That's what you got to do. Get your shot, no matter what. Here's a question I keep asking, and I never get any kind of decent answer. What about actual antibodies from the? It's not. It is the same, and in many cases, it might even be better. Just curious. What about that? So you've had it, you survived it, you've got antibodies for it. Why should you have to go and get a shot if you continue to have the antibodies for it? Because so much of this is about, well, just being ridiculous when it comes to the damn coronavirus.
Among our focuses now is not just the boosters, but to get those 70 million Americans who are not yet vaccinated.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Now, you may get an extra 10, 15 million vaccinated, and some kids, but you're not getting that group of people, two groups of people, one group, and we think that it's all the same, right? That only people who aren't vaccinated are crazy right-wingers. There are a lot of people out there who aren't into vaccines anyways, who tend to lead a kind of a granola life, if you will, super into health, and think that this is, something that they just don't need. And they didn't vote for Trump. And yes, there are a lot of people out there who feel that this thing is a hoax and ridiculous. But you can focus all you want. You're not going to get those people. Not this go-round. But the fact that we're still talking about wearing masks, the fact that we're still doing this crap is insane. So you want, if you really are that worried about it, then it should just be mandatory testing everywhere. Because it's funny because you're worried that this person over here doesn't have the vaccine. Why are you worried about that? They're not. Well, they could get sick or pass it on. It's possible. By the way, you are vaccinated. And you don't seem to be too worried that you could spread it yourself. Well, still, it's nuts. It is. This is let the legal battles begin. And at the end of the day, can we just all agree, whether you're on the right or left, who gets rich? Huh? Anybody? 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 Yeah, the attorneys. I'm just saying. Friday, the big, giant cyber ninjas drop happened. Well, how was it? Well, first and foremost, Trump
actually loses 261 votes from the official votes. Biden gains 99.
He won by more. He did, according to the count. So the way Doug Logan did this whole thing was pretty interesting. And kind of what we said was going to happen. Essentially, if you believed that there was something nefarious that took place, nothing changed your mind that day. You got some affirmation, the hand count, and he kept reiterating, well, for the ballots we have, as if there's other ballots out there. For the ballots we have. For the ballots we have. For the ballots we have, Trump actually loses votes. Oh. Now that's for the ballots that we have. We don't know what other things are out there, whether the nefariousness is out there. We don't know what else was out there that was just kind of hidden away. We have no idea what was out there. Could there be more? Look, I had zero problems with the first 3 or 4 audits. This was supposed to be an investigation. That's how they spun it. It was an investigation to find out how Trump lost. Because people cannot, for the life of them, fathom that he lost. Again, Biden didn't win. Trump lost. But for so many people out there, it's became a giant money grab. This guy doesn't care about Trump, wants security.
This is not about putting Trump back in office. This is about the truth. If this reveals that Mr. Biden absolutely won, that means we're all going to have to eat crow.
Crow's like, I didn't do anything. Why are you guys going to eat me? He won. He did. It was close, but he won. It was close, but look at all of the stuff they found, Chad. Almost every one of those was debunked within moments. Remember what this was. This was a 3-hour slideshow presentation, and essentially it was one of those things where imagine going in, and for those of you guys who don't know what a grand jury is, you go and you present evidence and the things that you think you have with zero pushback, with zero pushback whatsoever from a defendant, the representative, anything. It's kind of, that's all this was. You present stuff, and in presenting it to like-minded people, there you have it. There's no pushback. Now what? Well, I said, if you guys have all this, you got to go through the whole thing. You got to turn it into the AG, because if you really think a crime was committed, somebody stole an election, that's a crime. And in doing so, you better have the evidence to back it up. They left Dominion out of this altogether. Reason's pretty simple. Dominion in playing, as you can see with the lawsuits. Sidney Powell still going on there. You got Giuliani, all of the Mike Lindell, you name it, they're all in this. And it's still going forward, these lawsuits. They left them out of it. This was about how this could happen here. What could happen here? At the end of the day, Trump lost. At the end of the day, Trump didn't do enough. At the end of the day, he did more to hurt than to help his cause. But this is a great money grab. And that's exactly what this was about in many cases. Money. 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 Lots of money still out there, kids. Lots of money still out there. I had to watch the whole thing. So I watched all 3 hours. From Dr. Shiva all the way through to Randy Pullen and Ken Bennett and everybody in between that was associated with this. And at the end of all of this are there some things? You can do a postmortem every single election is what you should do. Today, Monday, all of the NFL teams are currently in their facilities. All of these coaches are going over what took place yesterday. The good, the bad, the ugly, what worked, what didn't work. No problem doing that. We should. But if we're going to look at every election like there's always nefariousness, how does that install confidence in anybody? I don't think it does. No way, shape, or form does it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I want to get to this, and we'll probably carry it through the next segment as well, but this is insanity. So this is ASU, Arizona State University. They have a multicultural room. I guess it is. I don't know. I've been to ASU on numerous occasions, wandered around, but, it's like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. There's a guy sitting there, white dude, another guy. They're doing work when a few ladies, people of color, show up to tell them how evil they are.
You're making this space uncomfortable. But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No, it's not a culture. White is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
This is insane.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect. Okay, this white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this shit.
So white is not a culture. Is black a culture? Well, of course it's a culture. Well, what is it? Being an American? I guess that's part of a culture. That's right, the culture of America. So so let me ask you this. If you are Scandinavian, to be part of your culture, should you go all Game of Thrones or one of those movies, just wear Viking stuff all day? With that, so that way we could see. If you're Scottish, you're wearing a kilt. We have more on this, but this is insane, and this is what's going on. And I will tell you this right now. I listen to this, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Kids are just sitting there when she comes up. But it's why she comes up that perpetuates, apparently, the violence. By the way, there was no violence. I don't know what you think violence is, but the definition has changed. And wow, is that crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Raycon, best earbuds around. Relaxing weekend, listening to football and watching the Ryder Cup. Listening to football, I have my Raycons in. You will love your Raycons. Best earbuds around. Sound quality, design. The case that you get, the charging case, is incredible. You get this charging case. It gives you up to 4 charges before you have to plug it back in. What that does means you don't have to be tethered anywhere, which I absolutely love, love, love. Now, the sound quality. Because of the noise isolating fit, it separates them from every other earbud out there. No stems, no wires, 45-day happiness guarantee. Ray J's put it together. All of that, and you think, well, there's a cost. $200, Chet? Nope. They start under 100. In fact, they start under $70 with a 45-day happiness guarantee. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you 15%. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you 15%. We're going to talk about it.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect, okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this shit.
We're going to talk about that straight ahead. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect, okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this shit.
Yeah, so that's ASU. Two kids just sitting there. And again, kids, they're, late teens, early 20s. He's sitting there working on his computer. Apparently it's the multicultural room. Just get up and go, dude. But they were sitting there. They didn't say anything. Came up, and white is not a culture, right? White is evil. Now, of course, you've got to get to the real issue, which is they're racist for sitting there.
Yeah, the whole rest of the campus, the second floor, the first floor, the whole MU, every single part of the campus centers you. This is the only space that you're not centered, and you're still trying to center yourself, which is peak white cis male bull.
Peak white cis male BS. Just sitting there. Didn't do anything. Sitting there. Didn't start it. They rolled up with their camera and started rolling.
Oh, you are racist. Your sticker is racist because police, that's a job. You can choose to be a police. I don't choose to be black. Okay? No, you can choose to be a cop. You can choose to kill people with a badge, and you're protecting that shit, which means that you're racist.
Yeah. And it just goes on and on from there. By the way, enough of this crap, right? Like, this is, you're choosing to be a victim. Hey, white guys, go somewhere else, right? Makes it feel better. Stop saying violence is words, and stop saying they're racist when you have zero proof about it, and stop making yourself a victim. It's that simple. Okay? If you want to be a victim, knock yourself out. If that's what you identify as an absolute victim, while you go to a $50,000 a year school, you're a victim. I go back to a week ago, we're talking about Haitians underneath a bridge in Del Rio, Texas, about 15,000 of them, living in squalor. You're not a victim. Quite the opposite. You're one of the lucky ones. They're a victim of circumstance. You're lucky. Enough with it. You're racist. Everybody's racist. You white people are racist. It's a big business as well. Conspiracy and racism, huge money right now. But you heard that. You're a cisgendered. She starts going off on all the bad things that these kids are. You guys are bad. You're evil. You like police. Therefore, you're racist because I can't choose to not be black. Well, would you choose to not be black if given the opportunity? Well, no. Okay, then. There you go. Enough. That doesn't help. Just letting you guys know. When you want to talk about moving the ball forward in life, first thing we need to do is we need to start telling everybody you're not a victim. Words are not violence. At no time has anybody shouted a word at me and my arm broke. Ever. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. That is just insane. It is. Colleges, again, most of the people going there just want to get their degree and get the hell out of Dodge. But there's people there, and I continue to say this over and over again. You know what happens? They're coming out, and they're coming, and they're doing what? they're getting into the workforce. And getting into the workforce, they're asking and demanding certain things, which is changing the way everybody does stuff. Some change is good, but a lot of it is insane and a waste of time. You are a bad person because you like police. You are a racist. Shut up. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Football over the weekend. Watched it. Ryder Cup. Man, U.S. team destroyed the Europeans. Young team. They all kind of wanted to be there in a way that we'd not seen before, and it was awesome to watch. And then yesterday was the singles match. So you play 4-ball and then teams all the way through, and then you play 12v12, 1-versus-1 all the way through. And Bryson DeChambeau came up first hole, 365, 70. He drove it onto the green in the air, kind of set the tone. It was awesome. But I did watch football, and I will tell you this. I'll give you my final results tomorrow, but minus a few upsets. I'm looking high. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We have seen that these vaccine mandates do get more people vaccinated. So I am enthusiastic about getting more people vaccinated because I think that's good to protect individuals. It's good to protect their own health, their families, and that of the communities around them.
Dr. Rachel Walensky, CDC director. Always, I'm very hopeful. Mandates work. But the battle has begun because now many cities across the country and states starting throwing their mandates, starting to throw their own in. Remember, look, all of these things are going to be challenged in court. I don't care what anybody says. You and I both know it. So this is subject to change. Today, New York, what do you have? The showdown. Got to be vaccinated. It's a must, or else.
The governor prepared to bring in out-of-state workers, even the National Guard, to help. An estimated 72,000 hospital workers are not vaccinated. Nurse Trisha Sebastian is one of them.
We're trying to do what is at the best interest for our families.
This comes just days after a federal judge temporarily blocked New York City public schools from implementing a similar vaccine mandate for teachers and staff.
Yeah. So the battle's on. It's going to continue to be on, and this is where we are. Once again, we're not asking the question of, hey, if this thing's here and it's not going anywhere, how do we figure out how we live above this thing rather than let it control everything we do? Well, if you're government, you want it to control everything you do because it's easy to get control of the people, and it's pretty simplistic. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but what I do know is when you give the government an inch, it'll take a yard. When they say they're going to give it back to you, you and I both know, no, they're not. No, they're not. They'll figure out a way to keep stuff on their side. They'll figure out a way to make sure that they got everything that they want out of this. They'll figure out a way to do that. So here we are. We're in this situation. For some people, mandates or else. For others, we'll see what happens. In a market like this where employees are right now a premium trying to get an employee, a decent one, well, if you're at a company that you're not a fan of, you're bouncing. If you don't believe in this. If you're at a company or you work for a municipality and you love it and you like the benefits that come with it, you might think twice and do it. But for a lot of people, this is once again a situation where frustration levels are through the roof because rather than have a conversation, rather than allow people to make their own decisions, people are worried about other people. Well, you are affecting me. How? First of all, I'm vaccinated, but I'm just saying, let's say I wasn't, and I've had it. I've got my antibodies. How am I affecting you? Well, you could catch it. So can you. So can you. Well, you could give it. So can you. So why am I the problem? Why is this person the problem? And we have this battle. And as we all know, when you start to push people, when you start to single them out, when you start to make it personal, when you start to do the things that you know is going to rile them up, what do? Push back. Push back. And that's what you're going to get more and more of. People are going to be running out to get it. They're going to be pushing back harder and harder. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Government has another looming deadline. They love these. Makes it feel good when they get it done.
Congress must pass a measure to keep the government funded, but they are also debating over whose responsibility it is to also raise the debt limit and whether or not those two items should be linked together. The Treasury Secretary has warned that if Congress does nothing, the government will not be able to pay its bills by October, sending the country into a debt crisis.
Oh, it's always a crisis. We're going into a crisis. This can't be stopped. We're going into a crisis. There's no way to stop any of this. This is a crisis. And then what happens? And the 12th hour, right? Or a few hours after the limit is, oh my God, it's passed. Oh God, we're working without oh God, will we? Oh. And then magically they pull it back from the brink and they save it. And then they're like, woo! We did our job. We are so good at doing our job. You guys like that we did our job? Yeah, that's it. We did it. What do you think of that? Right there. We did it. That's the thing that makes me laugh. Oh, my God. That's a good celebrate. Like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. Wow, we are so close. Guys, you guys have no idea. Like, they act like it's like Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island or we're getting close, the Cuban Missile Crisis. They act like it's one of those things. Ooh, you have no idea how close we are to everybody still having to do their job, but essentially not get paid for a couple days. You guys don't even understand. It was so close. And then you were never going to default. We're never going to do any of that, but it sounds great to say, we're at a crisis. This is a crisis. How are we going to do it? I don't know. How are we going to do it?
This is beyond a big deal. So let's hope that the Republicans will find enough of them find some level of responsibility.
Some level of responsibility, because this is beyond a big deal. We only ever do this every single time. And this is the biggest deal of all time.
They know full well what the consequences are. They preached it when the former president was in office, and we always cooperated. It's always been bipartisan.
You did not always cooperate. None of you do. You don't until you have to. And then when you do celebrate, usually what's that mean? They're spending more money and everybody got a little something of what they wanted.
The decision was made that it would always be bipartisan, whether on our part, as we have cooperated in the past with Republican presidents, or on their part. It is totally irresponsible.
Totally irresponsible. It's never been more irresponsible than this. We've never gotten to this point in the history of points where it's been anything other than this irresponsible. We may make it through. We may not. I don't know if we will survive. You won't even know if something happens. But we'll default. We're not going to default on anything. We're not going to fall apart. But the government may shut down. First of all, I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world. Secondly, and let's be real here, the majority of people still have to go to work. Their jobs aren't effective. It's a few groups of people that will have to go to work and may not get paid. They'll get paid eventually for their work. It's not like they're working for free. But this isn't going to be at 30, 60, 90. But it's just the way, oh, my God, the crisis. How could we do it? Oh, God. We work so hard going to parties and having dinners and standing in front of microphones. Oh, my God, I don't know how we do it. How do we survive without you? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Oh, I think that was very nice, Chad. I think it was spot on. That's what I think. It was absolutely spot on of how they act and their insanity. All the while, you still have a nightmare going on at the border, right? You're not worried about that crisis.
At one point, the sprawling tent city under the International Bridge at Del Rio housed up to 15,000 people in conditions that Valverde County Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez called deplorable.
You're seeing babies, little kids, pregnant women, family units, in probably the worst conditions I've ever seen.
While many of the immigrants were immediately returned to their home countries, many were allowed to stay in the U.S. to continue the asylum process.
Yeah. How many? Don't know. Don't know. The reality is we don't know. That's, there's no transparency in this. They're not saying. We know that they've been moved to several different cities. I know there's some in Tucson. Again, this is no ill will towards them. This is looking again at our system that is completely broken, that nobody seems to. They're worried about how much money they can spend, but they're not worried about solving problems that need to be solved right in front of us right this time. Well, if we don't get this, we can't solve those. You're not going to solve those problems. There's nothing about those problems that you want to solve. You'll spin it. That's not as bad as you think. Because you continue to tell the lie long enough, it becomes the truth. It is bad, and it's not getting any better. And you've got people coming here and now seeing, hey, this is the pathway. The pathway is simply this. If you come as a single male, the chances of you staying are very slim comparatively as coming as a family unit with children, whatever it is. Something like that, an intact unit. Oh. So now they know. And are there more on the way? Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't there be? We have failed to secure our border, and it's not about the people that are. This is about the politics of those people. Meaning, those people are no more than political fodder, right? They're a football going back and forth for people to raise money off, for people to get reelected on. They don't see them as human beings. Oh, it's easy to see them as a human being as a singular situation if it can help you raise money. Whether it's a person who's been wanted in several countries and potentially is a rapist, or a mother and a father and their little child, they're just trying to get here. You can paint those pictures. It's great to raise money off of them. But the reality is, at the end of the day, there are things we can do that can slow this down. But nobody's interested in it because the money is too good. Too good to raise money. And in raising money, it keeps you reelected. And in keeping you reelected, you can raise more money. You get more power, more opportunities. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. MyPillow, Giza Dream Sheets, best sheets around. Giza Dream Sheets. So long staple cotton is very interesting. So you get this long staple cotton. It is grown in a small area in the Mediterranean, this cotton right here. And it is just incredible. You will sleep like you haven't slept before. Cool, amazing, just incredible. These Giza Dream Sheets are awesome. Normally they're $100. For you, under $50. They also have the My Slippers, which are incredible. My friend grabbed a pair of My Slippers the other day. She's like, these things are amazing. So wears them indoors, outdoors. They got the patented fill. They got special gel. Took them 2 years to develop. You will love these things. They got the MyPillow as well at a deep discount and everything. Check it out, MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson when you do. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. 50% off right now. The Giza Dream Sheets. Check out the My Slippers and everything in between. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us take a peek on the interwebs, find out what's trending, starting Twitter. Well, mandates going in today. Obviously, that's a big deal for a lot of places around the country. Some of the bigger municipalities, cities, things of that nature are going to be seeing mandates. Rival German party, the Social Democrats, claim they have won and can lead the country. It won't be a perfect government. They're going to have a coalition, but it looks like they have ousted the conservatives in Germany. 60 Minutes trending last night. Liz Cheney was on, and we touched a bit on, with Trump being the kingmaker. He has set his eyes on the prize of destroying people that he felt really went against him. Liz Cheney being the most vocal of that. And it's very interesting. We'll touch on it a little bit later, but it was a very interesting interview in that. Head on over to Google. Roy McIlroy, the European team. And if you guys saw yesterday, the Ryder Cup, you have to like sports, but you could tell when somebody's hurting. Roy McIlroy is one of the great golfers of all time. He is a competitor, and the Europeans love the Ryder Cup. The Americans, for the last several years, have had their asses handed to them, but it's been one of those things where you're trying to bring 12 individuals together. It just didn't really work. This year was team atmosphere, and the Americans boat raced the Europeans. And Roy McIlroy, when they were talking to him, he was in tears. And you could see how important it was. And the Packers, we were discussing this, producer Phil and I, earlier today. The right answer to how much time do you leave Aaron Rodgers to win the game for a potential comeback is 0. Is the right answer. 0. 0. The right answer would be 0. And what a comeback it was, showing that he likes to play. Chiefs, 2 million people searched yesterday. They lost. They're 1-2. Hell of a game. Herbert looked amazing for the Chargers. Just a great game. And the Ravens, in particular, one person of the Ravens is being searched all over, and so is his play. Yesterday, they're losing 17-16 to the lowly Lions. No time left on the clock but a few seconds. They trot out arguably the best kicker in NFL history in Justin Tucker. They say, 66 yards, the best we can do, man. Go break the record.
A 66-yard try. Tucker's kick is on the way. It is good! Crossbar, and it tumbles through. It is good! Time has expired. Justin Tucker with the longest field goal in NFL history. The hay is in the barn, and it's mayhem on the field.
Yep. Set the record. They asked him after the game, what's it like?
When you're that far away, there's a level of you have to abandon some of your technique that would, help the ball go straight, like I would have liked the 49-yarder earlier in the game to go. But you abandon some of that, and you sacrifice some of that to just gain a little power and, use the adrenaline and the feeling of the moment to just get the ball to go. So.
And that's what he did. Little crow hop, jump, thumped it, 66 yards, new record. That's a victory. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's okay to mourn for Gabby. It's okay to feel sorrow and pain. But we want to celebrate her and how she lived her life.
Yep. Gabby Petito's family laid her to rest. Horrible situation. And still, he's out there. Brian Laundrie, where is he? Where is he?
Parents aren't supposed to bury their children. This is not how life is supposed to work.
No, it's not. And it goes back to, the question over the last week or so about this has been pretty interesting. The question that some people are posing is, we're not having the right conversation? Well, first of all, a young woman was murdered. And the conversation should be, is it about, well, first, for some, it was all, well, she's white, so she got the white girl syndrome, and we continue to, is some of that true? Yes, but a lot of it is also the story, right? The story of there was, sex, and, you had a viral couple, especially her, who had a following, and they were the ones, by the way, who were the catalyst for pushing this thing out to the media, was her followers. But so much of it was also about, well, we're not having the right about domestic abuse because people don't know. People know about domestic abuse. People know about, about the coronavirus. You've been told what it could do to you, potentially. You understand that. Right? Nobody out there, unless you are just so sheltered, you've never seen another human being. You've never read anything. You've never been anywhere. You understand that it's out there. You do. And the focus is, how do we get women in particular away from guys like this? And I'm like, good luck. It's an addiction. That's what I say it is. My sister is a prime example of that. Now, my sister could have easily been this girl, but she was also a hot mess. She was addicted to drugs. When it was drugs, it was a guy. If it wasn't a guy, it was back to drugs. And and no matter how crappy they treated her, and you showed, it didn't matter. You could have all the interventions in the world you wanted, but it wasn't going to change them until they decided it was time. Until they decided it was, hey, I got to get away from this. I have to make this decision. You can give them the opportunity to, a safe harbor, a place to go where they can be protected. You can do all of those things. But we hear it every time they go back. You just don't know them like I know them. You don't understand, right? There's something about it. I think the reality is it's not so much whether or not people are aware. It's, are we having the right conversation of what so much of this is? Because to me, I look at it and it's an addiction. Some people are addicted into drugs. They're addicted to working out. They're addicted to all kinds of things. This is an addiction as well, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen it with my sister. I've seen it with other people. You can give them all of the intervention, all of the spiel, all of the speeches, all of whatever. There's not a lot that you're going to be able to do until they're ready to make that decision. It's like drug addicts, right? They know they have a problem, but until they're ready, they're not going to do anything about it. They're not. Then you go into the other side of things. You've got this, the whole thing with Britney Spears. Was this some sort of weird thing where you were so worried about other people that you shut her off from the world? Because now they've got yet again another bunch of allegations, a new documentary.
The 39-year-old pop star is worth an estimated $60 million. After a string of public struggles, her father was appointed conservator in 2008. And this past summer, she testified for the first time in court about what she called her abusive conservatorship. the judge allowing her to hire a new attorney. That lawyer, Matthew Rosengard, telling ABC News overnight placing a listening device in Britney's bedroom would be particularly horrifying and corroborates so much of her compelling, poignant testimony.
Yeah. Look at that. You go from one control to another thing of control that maybe started out because the reality is she needed it. She was a hot mess. I think we all saw that. We all saw that coming. This is trying to control another human being, and in particular, a human being that, quite frankly, has a bunch of money attached to her. So this week, there will be yet another hearing to see if she can get freed. Remember, for a while, it was a bizarre situation where she could have asked out on several occasions. Finally, when she decided to, I think the public pushed her in a lot of ways. She went and she changed, and now her dad stepped away. But it still doesn't mean she's free from the conservatorship.
There are sort of two issues that are going to come up on Wednesday. Number one is, what is Jamie Spears' role going to be? He's effectively now saying he's okay with the conservatorship ending, and they're trying to get him out as the conservator. It's sort of a chicken and egg, which is going to happen first in connection with this. But I think that September 29th is going to be a very important hearing in connection with this case.
Yeah. So she'll have a chance to get out. But to get out, it's not just like, well, Dad says he wants us to do it anymore. We're over and done.
The whole point of a conservatorship is to have someone watching over someone else, taking care of that person. Now, does that necessarily mean that listening devices are part of the game? No. In order for that to pass legal muster, you would have needed some sort of court approval to do that.
And that's what she's alleging, that they had listening devices placed throughout the house, in particular her bedroom. On top of that, they looked into all kinds of things to do with her and her family, other parts of it, and her friends.
They would also monitor conversations with her friends, with her mom, with her lawyers.
The Times.
Yeah, think about that. With a lawyer, with everything.
The Times reporting that mirroring text messages without the consent of both parties could be a violation of the law, and that it is unclear if the court knew about or had approved any text message monitoring.
Yeah. But these are security people saying, like, these are some of the things that are going on. So, yeah. So you have one person who was controlled by another human being, another person who had lost their faculties for a while, and people stepped in, and then it became an abusive relationship by all accounts, as we're starting to find out, of control again. People love controlling. They do. They love to control their own lives. They hate change. They like control. They want everything kind of be the same. They want to be able to control the things in their power they can control in and around their world. And some people they live to find people that they can take control of. And with the Britney thing, as I talked to some people last week, they're like, the Britney thing, you talk about it. I said, yeah, but I talk about it because you can break this down to the simple thing. How many people out there are going through something similar? Not because your daughter or son have lost their faculties, maybe, but or at least for temporarily they're having issues, but because grandma and grandpa have moved in, mom and dad, maybe your kids or your kid has lost their way, and now you have to take over certain things, and that includes raising their kids. All of these things are real, and it points a lot to this kind of stuff. Plus, we all grew up with Britney. I'm 50, but, she's 40. She's 10 years behind me. She was a star. When I was 25, she was becoming a star. Many of you listening are in your, late 30s, early 40s. You remember growing up? Oops, I did it again. All that stuff. People pay attention to that. But this is a very interesting, unique thing, and I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, because every time you think, well, they got to get rid of it now, they just, not quite yet. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program with all the mandates. People saying they're going to quit their job, but they're forced to take the vaccine. Some people who've even had the vaccine say, I'm not going to show you my card. I've had the vaccine. Some people are saying, hey, wait a minute here. I've had this thing. Why are my antibodies good enough? And people are saying, well, you don't like it. Kick rocks. Go find another job. The good news is there's jobs aplenty.
The National Association for Business Economics' latest survey says it's still a job hunter's market.
There are a lot of job openings, and there are a lot of employers that are looking to find the right people for their businesses. So this is the right time to look for a job.
Gregory Dacko of Oxford Economics, part of the NABE survey panel.
Participants still expect to see fairly steady job growth going into next year. They expect the job market to make a full recovery by the end of 2022.
He also says competitive wages and remote work options are still the norm.
Yep. One of the hottest new perks they're talking about in tech is a week off for burnout recovery. Right? So you work, going all day, all of these things, and the companies themselves are giving everybody a week off. Just stepping away. It's nothing to do with your vacation. Has nothing to do with anything. Just take the week off, or we're even shutting down for a week because it's mandated that we want you to be fresh. It's mandated that we want you to be happy. It's essentially that we want you to be ready to roll, firing on all cylinders. And right now, because you're seeing tons of resignations, you're seeing people that have rethought this entire last year and a half over all of the insanity that's gone on, right? So you got all this craziness and insanity that's gone on of coronavirus, working at home, not working at home, being laid off, not being laid off, working extra hours, doing all these things. People have stepped back and said, well, maybe I want to do something else. Or I see the opportunity now to get some of the things I want. If you're looking for a gig, it's never been better than now to look for a gig. Because you can go in there. And in going in there to a place that you're interested in, you can somewhat name your price. And for a lot of people, the price isn't always about money. It's about time with their family. It's about time being able to recharge. It's about being able to have more freedom when it comes to their work schedule, things of that nature. Upward mobility is one thing, but I think people are looking for several different things now. But right now, it is a marketplace. So if you're an employee and you've got a skill, you're very valuable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Michael Myers, you want to be in a movie? Yeah, that guy. Tell you how to do it. And we finally figured it out. I cracked the code. Well, Jesse Duplantis did. He's a preacher of why Jesus hasn't come back yet. Wait to hear this, Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
So if you're asking yourself, why hasn't Jesus returned? That's a good question, right? Well, we've got the answer. Jesse Duplantis, you guys don't know who he is. He's a televangelist. He's going to explain to everybody why Jesus hasn't returned. And I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Apparently, he doesn't have enough money for a ticket.
I honestly believe this, that the reason why Jesus hadn't come is because people are not giving the way God told them to give. You see what I'm saying? Wow. I mean, when you understand it, you can speed up the time.
Right. No.
I'm going to have people move according to the Word of God. What is God saying to you? And I really believe this. If people would call this number and put this victory all over the world on every available voice, every available outlet, God, the Father, he would say, Jesus, go get them.
Is that what he said? Jesus, we got enough now. We didn't before, but you can go. So we didn't. Like before, we were waiting because apparently we're on 90 days billing. So we got 90-day pay. So, but we got it now. We're good. We're good. We're totally fine. Like that's we were like, hey, we got to get down there. And then they were like, oh, we don't have enough. And he's like, oh man, that sucks. We don't have it. How we not getting enough? I don't know. If only Jesse Duplantis, maybe loan us his awesome jet, we could get there.
Because you see, he wants to see us as much as we want to see him. You see what I'm saying? And so what has hindered all these things is It's because people are not doing in the financial realm, because we live in an economic world, what God's called them to do. You know, he's called us to do that. So I don't have a problem with giving. I don't have a problem with receiving. It doesn't make any difference, because I just made up my mind. I want Jesus to come. Now, they said, do you own a jet? Yes. You can have it the day after the rapture. It's yours. Because Jesse is going to heaven.
So wait, after you're gone, we can have your plane? People wonder, if you give money to GoFundMe's where you think somebody's having their heartstring, you're getting your heartstring tugged, and you're like, I'll just step back. Same thing here. If you give money to these charlatans, to these people, by the way, he's got a private jet, right? And remember, he was like, he needed another jet because the other jet just wasn't good enough. It's like, I have this jet. It's only worth like 10, 15 million bucks, but this $54 million jet, woo! That's the jet that Jesus wants me to. You know, my goodness. And you wonder why people want nothing to do with certain mainstream insanity. He's got a couple jets, by the way. He's got a couple of them. But he needs another one because Jesus needs him to have it. You can't loan Jesus your jet? Not even for a day? Nope. Not even for a day. Nope. Man. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Halloween Kills comes out a couple weeks. It's the latest in the Michael Myers slasher series. Not quite sure which one this makes. It's a ton. Oh, remember, there's a Halloween 3 Season of the Witch that has nothing to do with Halloween. Michael Myers is not in it. It has all to do with witchcraft and mask, and it's stupid, but there was a fight over the name. So, if you want to be in Halloween Ends, you can be in Halloween Ends. You'll have a chance to go online and to sign up to be one of the victims and have Michael Myers kill you on film in the next movie. The next movie, by the way, which they will start filming soon if they already haven't started filming, which will be released next year. So Halloween Kills comes out in a couple weeks, and then you'll have Halloween Ends, which we know, based on how many people watch it, will not be the end of Halloween. Because as long as the money is there, and it is there is no reason for them not to what? To continue to go back to the well. In this latest Halloween, Marion Chambers, who played the nurse, Kylie Richards, who played the babysitter Lindsay, Anthony Michael Hall, Robert Longstreet, and several others who were in some of the other movies will all make appearances in some way, shape, or form. I'm excited for it, but if you'd like to be killed by Michael, I wouldn't try it because I know I'm already going to win. Pretty excited about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the show. Happy Monday, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Haven't you given them a reason to believe there's a reasonable chance if they come into this country, they'll end up being released into the country and have months or perhaps years to stay here?
Chris, this is nothing new. We've seen this type of irregular migration many times throughout the years. I don't know if Governor Abbott said the same thing in 2019 when there were more than 1 million people encountered at the southern border.
It has gotten worse. Just the statistics of your own department show that the flood of people coming illegally across the border has gotten worse under the Biden administration.
So I wouldn't call it a flood, Chris, if I may. But
what would you call it?
Yeah. What would you call it? Out of curiosity, what would you call it? Out of curiosity, What exactly would you call this? If it is not a flood, Mr. Mayorkas, all right, here you are, THX Secretary, if it is not a flood of people, there are 15,000 people living under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas. 15,000 people. 15,000 people. Oh, well, maybe it was 12,000. Maybe it was 10. Okay, we're mincing here at this point in time. Stop with the semantics. There were so many people underneath the bridge, all because they felt like the dinner bell was rang.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
What do you think they heard? That dude's giving away stuff. Let's go. That guy's giving away stuff. The opportunity, he's not like the guy that's in there now guy. So if that guy that's in there now guy gets voted out guy, that's our guy. We're going. Those guys are saps. They're going to let us come in. Don't even worry about it. We're going. And then they showed up. And they're like, I can't even believe that happened. You can't? And then you have the goal to go, did Governor Abbott say this about, when Trump was in office? Yes, that Trump built his entire thing on build me a damn wall. Let's not allow this to continue to happen. Stay in Mexico. All of those things are real. By the way, border states outside of California have been bitching about this for years. This isn't new. You act like we've never seen this before. We didn't know this could happen. We didn't understand that anything like this could take place. How did this happen? No, it's you. You rang the bell, if you will, and then you ignored it. And I'm not saying you in particular, Mayorkas. The reality is the Democrats and Republicans on both sides have played a game because they've raised tons of money off it, and it's been a giant joke. But stop with we didn't know this could happen, and this has been like this for a while. You're on pace. On pace for about 2 to 2.4 million. That's the ones that we know. If you double that, and by the way, if you talk to the border agents, they'll say we probably catch 20 to 30% is what I've been told by several of them. But your numbers may be different. But let's just say they catch 50%. We'd be heading towards 4.5 to 5 million people. That's not an issue. I feel like it's an issue.
We have seen large numbers of individuals encountered at our border making a claim for asylum, for humanitarian relief, which is a statute, which is a law of the United States, that individuals can make a claim of fear of persecution by reason of their membership in a particular social group. That's what the law provides. We have certainly seen a large number here in this year, but in 2019, we saw a large number in 2014, in 2010. This is nothing new. It spans many, many years. It spans different administrations of both parties, and it speaks to the need for legislative
reform. Blah, 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 blah. We get it. And he's right. He's absolutely right. But let's go back to what you were saying. This right here they're allowed to apply for asylum based on real things. Your country sucking is not something. Economic opportunity here and not there is not something. Corruption in your government, earthquake, coup, which wasn't really a coup, it's just an assassination, another earthquake, those are not it. Now, if you're gay and you're persecuted, okay. If you are persecuted because of your religion, because of your political affiliation, those are the things it was meant for. Not economic opportunity. Frustrating. Absolutely frustrating. Nobody's interested in doing this the right way. Nobody's interested in fixing this problem because the money is too damn good. The money is too big. The money gets you the power, and the power keeps you in place. And they like the power structure that they have, which is enjoying their lives the way that they do while everybody else does what we have to do, and they get frustrated with them over and over again, knowing full well they're not going to fix the problem. Because the problem is like the disease. There's no cure in their disease. There is money in it, but we don't want you to die off, so we got to do something that's just enough to keep you alive, but make sure that you keep coming back over and over and over again. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program.
It absolutely creates a challenge. What I would say is to have these, to do some work to educate these healthcare workers, to meet them where they are, to understand where their hesitancy is, so we can get them vaccinated and get them back to work.
Dr. Rochelle Walensky talking right there. There's mandates across the border going in. There's staffing shortage fears, not just here, but across the country in 1,000 different industries. Industries where right now they're having issues getting people to come. They're having issues getting people to stay. And this isn't going to help it.
The governor prepared to bring in out-of-state workers, even the National Guard, to help. An estimated 72,000 hospital workers are not vaccinated. Nurse Tricia Sebastian is one of them.
We're trying to do what is at the best interest for our families.
This comes just days after a federal judge temporarily blocked New York City public schools from implementing a similar vaccine mandate for teachers and staff.
Yeah. This is going to get, again, the lawsuits that are coming, the massive amount of fighting that's going to go on, all of this stuff for something that's not going away, something that is here. It's endemic, not pandemic. We have a decent amount of natural immunity in the parts of the country right now that are suffering, but we've also got it across the country. We've got a large amount of people that have been, vaccinated, at least given what I like to call the shot, because you're not really vaccinated. Again, we go back to vaccines. When we think of vaccines, we think of a one and done, right? You take it when you're 2 and you never take it again and you don't get polio or something like that. That's what we think about. Once every 5-10 years, not every year or maybe once every 6 months. So think about this battle going on at this moment in time as they put these mandates in. Because remember this thing's not going anywhere. And if these shots don't last forever, it's going to be like this continuously. Well, yeah, what if? No, we learn to live above this thing, not below it, not let it control us as we have done. Allowing people to make decisions is fantastic. Same thing goes for your business. Your business says, I want vaccinated people in here. That's completely fine. Understandable that you would want that. I got zero problems with that. But to think that by doing that, that's going to solve the problem. It's not, especially in a marketplace where it's tough to find workers. And at the same time, workers have an upper edge because people are willing to figure out, hey, you know what? I'm not going to mandate it. Come work for me. This is going to get ugly. And once again, the winners are the lawyers. Every time the lawyers win. Every time. Never not happens. It's always the freaking lawyers. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycons when I'm doing my editing, when I'm listening to stuff, going for a walk. I'll probably go hit some golf balls later. Pop in my Raycons, away I go. I love them. Better sound quality, better design, incredible noise isolating fit, and the price point. When Ray J put these together, his goal was to put something together that would give you the sound quality of the ones that are supposed to be upper, the style and the comfort. And he wanted to do it with no stems or wires. And that's what he's done. You get a 45-day happiness guarantee, the best charging case around that, yes, will give you up to 4 full charges for your Raycons before you have to plug it back in and charge it up. You will love these. Get your Raycons now. Save big, an extra 15%. They start under $70. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
If I was going to try to pass the infrastructure bill, I'm coming out to this. I said, guys, we don't need any money. I talked to Starship. They said there's enough rock and roll for all of us to go around. Chad, I don't think you can build a city on rock and roll. You don't know. You've never tried. You have no idea. Infrastructure is still dangling out there. And, of course, the Republicans and even some conservative Democrats are going, yeah, I think $3.5 trillion on top of the $1.2 trillion over here on top of all the other money. That may be a bridge too far even for us to build.
This is that roughly $1 trillion package that includes funding for roads, bridges, and broadband internet. Progressive Democrats say they will vote against this bill unless their party commits to passing a much larger economic package with funding to combat climate change and for child care.
Yeah. So wait, the stuff we need, high-speed internet, everywhere. Bridges, roads, things that we would think of infrastructure. Those things are a no-go unless this group of people gets the stuff that they want, which is the human infrastructure bill. Well, we need the human infrastructure bill. It boggles the mind, the insanity of which these idiots continue to do what they do, and we continue to put them in power. And that goes for both sides. You know who the good politicians are? The ones you've never heard of. Right? You never hear of them, right? Because they work on committees that are trying to do stuff, and you don't really hear of them. They're not in front of the cameras. They're not trying to glorify themselves. They're not all over Twitter and all of this stuff outside of just tweeting out, I'm going to have a town hall or I'm going to do this in a Q&A session. And those are the people that are out there doing it. The rest of them are out there fighting amongst themselves, trying to get the most tweets, retweets, people to pay attention to them. Right? How can I? Last week, AOC, every time somebody voted against taking away funding for the Iron Dome in Israel. God. Why? It's insane. It's insane. And now the liberal, uber progressive Democrats, they're not voting on anything unless they get what they want.
This is shaping up to be a very critical week here on Capitol Hill, starting with a vote in the House on that bipartisan infrastructure package now slated for Thursday. This is that roughly $1 trillion package that includes funding for roads, bridges, broadband, internet.
All of those things needed.
Progressive Democrats say they will vote against this bill.
Of course they will.
Unless their party commits to passing a much larger economic package with funding to combat climate change and money for child care. But progressives and moderates just still are not on the same page on the size and the scope of that bill.
Because $3.5 trillion is ridiculous. And you're not going to get Kirsten Sinema, and you're not going to get Joe Manchin, and several other Democrats are asking the same question about why can't we do this and we can discuss some of this, cut some of this other stuff out. Not going to happen. So they'll take 100% of nothing. So if this doesn't get done, let's go back and look at the last 9 months with Biden. Coronavirus still here. Immigration's a hot mess. Afghanistan was a disaster. Inflation is rising. Infrastructure wouldn't get done. Just throwing stuff out there. It's not a good start. I don't want them to fail, but when you see stuff like this and you see the insanity of which this is going on and the battle that's happening, and this battle has nothing right now to do with Republicans. This is all Democrats. That's how out of touch some people are. Do I think that we need to re-look at the way that we help families, in particular people with early childhood develop? Absolutely. That benefits us. That benefits us in the long run. But so much of what's in here is just a giant, huge trough of money for special interests. And for those of you who think oil and big pharma are the only people that have special interests, think again. Green doesn't mean green for good. It means green for money. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every one of you. I'm going to have my football picks coming up. How did I do? Let you in on that. And then we got some craziness. So Bill Maher was on over the weekend. We're going to talk about what he said, but it goes right on line with what took place at ASU last week. And I'm just going to give you a snippet of this because it was insane. Kid and his friends sitting there. Apparently it's a multicultural room. And lo and behold, they're working. Some people come up to him filming.
You're making this space uncomfortable. But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No. No, it's not a culture. White is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
Apparently it's not, according to you. We will discuss that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Get ready, kids. It's fun. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
House Oversight Committee members saying the Cyber Ninja's CEO refused repeated requests on how he conducted the privately funded Arizona audit that showed Joe Biden won by an even larger margin than the original count. Now House Democrats want to investigate the audit and whether it interfered with Americans' right to vote without party interference. They're asking the Cyber Ninja's CEO to testify on October 7th.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. I'm going to let you know on that. So the big cyber ninjas, remember, originally it was supposed to take 14 days. It's supposed to take 14 days. That's what they thought. They were going to make 150, a couple hundred bones, 700,000 across the board. Ended up making about $6 million. Three groups. You had Sidney Powell's group, you had Michael Flynn's group, and you had the guy who used to run Overstock. His group threw money into it. So you had these three groups that drew a ton of money, and then One American News was essentially a 24-hour donation line for this. It took a little longer than they expected.
It was 2.1 million ballots that were processed by hand. That include both tallying and paper examination. Over 1,500 people and like 100,000 hours.
Yeah, took a long time. And so they delivered it. What did they deliver? Well, they delivered 3 hours of a PowerPoint and them talking with zero cross-examination, if you will. So Maricopa County, a guy named Garrett Archer, who's the data guy out here, works for one of the big news stations. We're pointing out all of the things that, you know, on their side that they saw that was wrong with what these guys are pointing out, including Mr. Cotton, who was there's the smoking gun. And every time somebody would say that, they would say you're not even in the right, you know, you're looking at a C drive when you should be in D drive kind of thing. It was long. It was tedious. Are there some issues? There's issues every election, by the way, just to let you know. Let's go back 4 years prior to this one, and the Democrats out there were saying you need to get over this. You guys didn't get over it. The media in particular didn't get over it, and they pushed a narrative of absolute lies against Donald Trump that was ridiculous, including something that the FBI knew was a bunch of BS, and they still went along with it, and the media soaked it up, only for it to be a giant turd burglar. That's all it was. It was nothing. So everybody does it now. It's easy to say, we lost because it was stolen. Now what? Well, everybody's like, well, now you got to turn it over to the AG. I mean, his Attorney General is not going to do anything with it, although he's in a tough position. He's running to be governor or senator or whatever he's going to be this week. Brnovich is his name. And he's in a tough position because he needs those people on the right that think this thing was stolen. He needs those people on the right. But at the same time, I think he knows there's nothing in this thing that is going to tilt the balance of anything. But those people out there who believe it was stolen, those people out there who believe that this thing was, it doesn't matter what you give them. It will never be enough. You could have them involved in the audit. You could show them every single thing. You could have them go to door, and they would still say it's not enough. Somewhere along the line, something was stolen. You're not fixing that. They're going to have to come to it on their own.
This is not about putting Trump back in office. This is about the truth. If this reveals that Mr. Biden absolutely won, that means we're all going to have to eat crow.
Well, not all, because there seems to be a lot of people voted for him. This is the question that the Republicans across the board are going to have to ask themselves in the coming months, and they're going to have to be serious about it. What is it you want out of your party?
It's highlighted the fact that Arizona is being led by conspiracy theorists who are out of touch with everyday Arizonans, and we're not even dealing with real problems here.
She wants to be governor. She was a lady who saw the election. She's the person who, Katie Hobbs, who, by the way, the Republicans in this entire audit has taken her to a new level. You turned her into a national political figure. On top of that, you've helped her raise a lot of money. But she's right. What's real? What does the average Republican think of this? The average Republican. I'm not talking about somebody who sits around all day, watches Fox News, One American News, is on everything, you can think of from Breitbart to the Gateway Pundit to the superpatriot.com and all that. I'm talking about the person who's going to work every day. He's got a wife and a couple kids, right? She's got a small business to run and she's going back to school and she's got a couple. I'm talking about the average everyday person who's a conservative Republican. Do you think they're sitting around thinking about this all day? No, they're not. They're trying to figure out, okay, can my kids go to school this week and I know they're going to be in school next week? Or is one person testing positive in another classroom going to shut this whole thing down? Am I going to be able to find any employees? Because I'm struggling to do that. The supply chain is broken, so I'm not getting the parts I need to do certain things. Those are things they're thinking about. This is so much for Trump. So they're going to have to ask themselves, what are they going to do? When I had to watch this thing, I talked about this thing all day on my local show. Right? I talked about this. And the reality was, the more I said, yeah, we can always fix it. By the way, today, I keep saying this, NFL, love the NFL. You know what these guys have been doing for the last 3 hours, depending on where you are in the country? Some of them 5 or 6 hours. Coaches, certain players are inside rooms. They're watching film. They're going, man, look at this. We didn't pick up the blitz here. Man, look at that. We were thrown into double coverage. Wow, look at this. We bit too many times on a quick route. He made a double move and took off. Wow, look at the way that they opened us up when it came to the run game. That's what they're doing today. They're doing a post-mortem of what happened yesterday so they can find out what worked and what didn't work and fix it. We should do that for every single election. Always. But if you don't win, it's not always because it was stolen. Very, 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 very few times has there been issues that have swung an election, and nothing's going to swing this. I'm sorry. If you have the proof, I'm all about it. People are attacking me, and I'm like, that's fine. But you're not. I said, I am. I said, you're watching people give one side of a story. But if somebody else points you to another side and says, no, that's not the truth, here's what it really looks like, you then have to decide. But if your goal is, no, these people are the only people that tell the truth, they are the people, they're the arbiter of truth, they're the only ones to tell the truth, then you've already bought into it. And it doesn't matter what I say. And it doesn't matter what was found. Because in your mind, you want affirmation. You don't want the truth. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. So, Bill Maher over the weekend. By the way, the View last week, I don't know if you saw this, but they were going to have Kamala Harris on because she was getting to probably tell them about all the sweet stuff she's going to do at the border. I don't know what it was, but they had to pull two people off really quick because they had tested positive for the coronavirus.
My first thought was, oh, my God, because I had just spent the day with Kamala Harris's sister, niece, and brother-in-law. So I'm thinking, I'm Typhoid Mary, and I'm going to wipe out the entire Harris family in 1 week.
Probably not, because they should be all vaccinated, so nothing was going to happen to them. But that being said, it was kind of entertaining to watch them because they pulled them off right there at the set. There was like, they're all sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden, here comes the people. Boom, you're done. Everybody's off. And then there was just this giant set with two people sitting there. Like, oh, okay. But last week, they were in a battle with Bill Maher. I don't know if you guys remember this, because right now during the NFL, there are two anthems being played, which is insane.
A new rule, the only time there should be two national anthems is when the other team is from Canada. This season, the NFL has added Lift Every Voice and Sing, commonly known as the Black National Anthem, to the Star-Spangled Banner before games. And 2 weeks ago, I opined that it was fine to get rid of the old anthem. We just shouldn't have two. Now, if you watch this show for opinions and you want to know what the correct opinion on the anthem is, that's it. That's the correct one. We shouldn't have two.
Absolutely, 110%. I got no problem getting rid of the national anthem. It's a poem that's long. It's time for us to move on. I got zero problems with that. Something that is more welcoming. I'm always about America's beautiful. I got zero problem with that. But I love the fact that he said, what's the right answer? That's the right answer.
The program The View last week devoted a lot of time to this while somehow avoiding what I actually said. It seemed to be a lot about a need to school me on the Black national anthem itself. Whoopi Goldberg said we need two anthems because, quote, we're having to re-educate people. Because nothing ever goes wrong when you start talking about re-education.
Yeah. He's right. And I bring that up to bring this up. This is insane. This is the ASU campus. Apparently it's a multicultural room. A couple guys down there. I guess they're white guys. I don't know. They could have been anything, right? They could have been Hispanic. They could have been whatever. I mean, I don't know. But some ladies took it upon themselves to remind them that, first of all, white is nothing. And secondly, they need to leave because violence.
You're making the space uncomfortable. But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No. No, it's not a culture. White is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
This is insane.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect, okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this shit.
So there's that. So they're there, they're hanging out, they're not doing anything. People come up to them to essentially tell them how bad and evil they are, because yes, right? You know, it's college, multicultural, and white is not a culture. If that's true, black's not a culture. Brown's not a culture. First of all, they're just colors. Right? That's like when we say, what can brown do for you when it comes to, the UPS, we don't actually mean the color brown. We mean what can, UPS do for you? Like, that's a culture. Brown's just a color because they wear the color brown. White's not a culture. Well, what do you want them to do? He's Scandinavian. Well, then go get a Viking outfit. And if anybody says anything, because you're a distraction, say, sorry, I'm enjoying my culture. The dumbest thing in the world. We're not done.
Yeah, the whole rest of the campus, the second floor, the first floor, the whole MU, every single part of the campus centers you. This is the only space that you're not centered, and you're still trying to center yourself, which is peak white cis male bull.
Yeah, totally. Peak white cis male. I would have just looked at my friend and said, come on, let's go. But then they took it to another level. Because why they were really mad had nothing to do with, had probably a lot to do with the fact that they were male white guys. But it had all to do with the fact that he had a sticker of Police Lives Matter, which automatically makes him evil.
Oh, you're not. You are racist. Your sticker is racist because police, that's a job. You can choose to be a police. I don't choose to be black. Okay? No, you can choose to be a cop. You can choose to kill people with a badge, and you're protecting that which means that you're racist.
There you go. That's it. And there's nothing you can do. According to the world, you're racist. Because police lives matter, or because all lives matter, because only black lives matter, that right there sums it all up. First of all, if I ask you, would you want to be any other color but black? She would probably say no. Good. That's the answer you should have. Right? It's like you should be happy of who you are. But if you're saying you choose that and that makes you a racist, it's just as easy to say that you have chosen to be a victim. You're not a victim. Greatest country in the world, at one of the best universities in the country, and you're able to go around on your cell phones and tell everybody how evil and bad they are and how violent words are and stickers and what you're fighting over, because we're looking for problems in this country because, quite frankly, the reality is we don't have any comparatively to the 15,000 people that were under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas last week. Those are real problems. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, and I bet if you asked any one of them, hey, anybody here want to be a police officer? We've got a job, they'd all raise their hands. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
A 66-yard try. Tucker's kick is on the way. It is good! Crossbar, and it tumbles through. It is good! Time has expired. Justin Tucker with the longest field goal in NFL history. The hay is in the barn, and it's mayhem on the field.
Mayhem on the field. WBL, the call yesterday. What a freakish thing. So if you guys haven't seen it, Justin Tucker kicked a 66-yard field goal. 66 yards. That means he was on his 44. And he hit it dead square in the center of where it comes from the field all the way up to the stanchion there, and it bounced over and it was good. And he got it up high too, which was interesting because if he hits it lower, chances are he can make it from 70. He said his max was 65, but he had to do a little hop skip to get to it, but they won the game. How did I do yesterday? 10-5. With one game left, Cowboys I have tonight over the Eagles. My loss surprise, the Patriots and the Bucks. Bucks didn't, well, the Rams just looked great, right? I mean, they did. The Niners, I picked the Niners to win, and I guess the question is, does Aaron Rodgers still want to play football? Yeah. And how much time do we leave Aaron Rodgers? 0 is the answer to that. Pats lost. But the Chiefs losing I was surprised. But could we just say this? My upset of the week was the Bengals. And I said that. And it's sad to watch Big Ben. Guy's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt about it. He is playing behind a bunch of young guys who are struggling, and they're not very good. And he's 37, 38, but he's got a body of a 50-year-old at this point in time, and he's a fighter that stayed too long, and that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. So tonight I got one game left. I got the Cowboys over the Eagles. Hopefully they don't fly. Eagle fly. And then yesterday, all weekend, it started Friday. The excitement for me, you guys had no idea. I got here really early Friday. I wanted to get stuff done. Anthony's out for a couple days, so I'm putting stuff together for the show. But I'm excited because of the Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup is golf's Olympics and World Cup all in one. Most of these guys will tell you outside of a major. In fact, the European guys say it's more important to win this than a major, and they don't win a penny for it. Each of them get $200,000 to give to a charity of their choice. U.S. has struggled over the last 30-plus years. absolute just boat race, the Europeans, over the 3 days. Won all 5 rounds of golf, and it was awesome to watch. And Bryson DeChambeau yesterday, who's competing in a long drive today, hit a 350-yard bomb on the first hole yesterday. It was sick. Solid fun Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. You guys have a good one. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.